The Rockville Center Board of Education, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please note there are exits on each side of the room. Any correspondence that can be posted has been posted. Are there any students in the audience that would like to come up and address the board at this time? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Gavin, Superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. We've had a busy few weeks since our last meeting. I just would like to let everyone know that Dr. Walsh and I attended a meeting of the Rockville Center Chamber of Commerce last evening. We introduced ourselves to our chamber members and offered them the opportunity to attend an informational workshop we're holding on February 28th for not only Rockville Center parents, but chamber members alike to see firsthand the extensive course offerings and impressive skills of our students that are studying business here at Southside High School. The response from chamber members was overwhelmingly positive. We are hoping to allow our students to connect with local businesses as interns and paid employees in an area of interest, such as marketing, retail, real estate, etc. At the February 28th meeting, our students and teachers will present to our parents and business community members, and then have the opportunity to network and interact. This year, Mr. Bartels and I are in the process of creating a capital plan for the district. Next meeting, we will be presenting this work in full. We are considering two major projects for next year. The first is to completely replace the roof at the middle school. The roof, for a long period of time, has received patchwork fixes, and still there are systemic leaks that are affecting almost every wing in the middle school. So we are considering doing the full roof as part of the budget for next year. The second of our projected capital projects is an installation of a turf field at the middle school. For years, this middle school field has been flooding and not usable during certain parts of the year. And we want to include not only a turf field, but a new drainage system. Again, this is not a bond. We are going to do this as part of the budget. Mr. Bartels, would you please, in preparation for these projects, do you recommend us taking any steps to ensure that they will go through if the budgets pass successfully?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Gavin. We do have to put together a plan to get these things in place for the summer. We've had our architects working on designs for both projects. They have gone out and we've gotten pricing also for both projects, so that piece has been done. We now have to have purchase orders in place so that we can kind of get in line to make sure we're set up to go for this summer. With the amount of lead time that the contractors need and to be able to, get our place in line, we had to get moving right away. So this is all contingent upon the passage of the budget. These projects will go into the budget. Right now, we have the roofing price is about $1.6 million. The field is about $1.9 million. So that's about 3.5 total. What that's going to do is it'll push up our budget a little bit, maybe a little higher than we're accustomed to, but we're not going to offset that with taxes. We're going to be doing that with fund balance. So we've been able to build up a little extra in our fund balance over the last few years with COVID and some reduced expenditures. So we can use some monies from our fund balance for that process. So while the budget number may be up a little bit, we're going to be using one-time funds to pay for that. So it's not going to be coming from the taxpayer, it'll be coming from our fund balance. So that's my recommendation, is go forward with those purchase orders at this point, and the projects will be contingent upon the passage of the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Bartels. One of the things I wish to commend Mr. Bartels for is his ability to have really ushered in a great era of financial stability. We just received our New York State Financial Stability report, and I'm proud to say it's the best it's ever been. I mean, it was always good, but it's even better. So we are in a good spot right now to take a one-time transfer over from our fund balance to pay for two things that we believe are very needed here in the community. Thank you, Mr. Bartels.
Thank you.
Parent University will be held on March 21st. Dr. Moriarty, can you please tell us a little bit about how that's going to work?
So right now, we're in the planning stages, and we have 2 different dates set. One for the elementary schools, which will be on March 21st, and one for the secondary schools, middle school and high school combined, for April 26th. Both will be at the middle school, and we will be sending out a survey shortly to all of our parents to see what kind of topics that they would like to see us provide workshops around or presentations. And then we'll gather our teachers and our administrators and the appropriate staff in order to be able to deliver what our community is looking for to learn more about.
Thank
We're
you
very
very much.
excited.
I really appreciate the fact that we're asking our parents what they'd like to learn more about, and that's going to help to design both of those parent universities. Now, Madam President, we would like to welcome our guests from the Ed Foundation. Please welcome both Ms. Kramer and Ms. Harris to the mic.
You're welcome, Nate. Hi, thank you. I'm Maida Kramer. I'm the current president of the Ed Foundation. Okay, thank you. Oh, see, now Carol's going to be upset with me because I've adjusted the mic a little bit.
You're good, you're good.
She was testing it to make sure it was at the right appropriate height for her.
We'll readjust.
Anyway, and this is Jean Harris. She's one of our board members. Those of you who don't know, the Rockwell Center Education Foundation is a nonprofit volunteer organization that raises money every year to give back to the students of the district. The way we give it back is through teachers applying for grants from us. They come up with these incredibly innovative and creative grants that bring the students beyond the education that they're getting from the curriculum. They're enriching programs, they're exciting programs. Many of you students are involved in them on a day-to-day basis, and you may not be aware that they were funded by the Ed Foundation, but in fact they were, like enrichment clusters at the elementary buildings, and there's maker spaces all over the district. So there's just a lot of really exciting things going on, and we are thrilled that we can raise the money to be able to give it back to the district, which is why we're here tonight to present our check, but we're not going to get there just yet. I want to say that this year, with the new administration and leadership that came into the district and the elimination, maybe, of COVID restrictions, there was just a lot of enthusiasm at the beginning of the school year. So we made an effort to capitalize on that enthusiasm and have a fall grant cycle, which is the first time the Ed Foundation has ever done that. Typically, it's been in the spring. So you would see us in the spring at the very end of the school year, or even the beginning of the following school year. But we're here tonight because we got the teachers, the leadership here was amazing. They got the staff excited. They came up with great applications for grants. We funded 3 grants this fall, which will be implemented this spring, is that correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you may see around the district, there are some of the programs we funded last spring are beginning to be implemented. And we have Dr. Moore to thank for helping us get that implemented. But as you might see on the screens here, we are advertising our one and only annual fundraising gala, which is where we raise the money to be able to give back to the school district. And I'm going to allow Jean a few minutes to talk about the gala.
Thanks, Nita.
Again, I'm Jean Harris, and I want to say citizen taxpayer, but I am. But I'm also a mother with no children in school anymore, but yet still want to be involved in supporting the community and supporting the Ed Foundation. And I think Maida's in the same situation. We're both empty schoolers, if you will. So anyway, my major responsibility this year is gathering donations, getting raffle baskets together, and all that good stuff, but I just want to say what a delight it is to work with the current new administration, with the board. They're so supportive. You know, we throw out an idea and they're like, well, what if we did this? Or what if we did that? So there's a wonderful partnership between the Ed Foundation, which is a separate entity from the school district, from the village. We stand alone on our own. But there's just a great synergy and a great partnership, and we really appreciate the support that we're getting from everybody. So mark your calendars, April 1st, no joke. It's for real.
I think that should be in the flyer.
Our tagline is eat, drink, and be generous. So maybe we can do no kidding or something like that. Anyway, it is at Gatsby on the Ocean, which is out by Jones Beach. It's this wonderful historic site. Robert Moses' state office is still intact out there. It's a lovely landmark space. We're going to have a different feel to this year's gala than we've had in years past. No more assigned seating, no more place cards, nothing like that. We're just going to have lots of cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, food stations, inviting people to mill around. As I said, raffle baskets, silent auctions, and we're just hoping to raise a lot of money. We are approaching the $1 million mark. This will be our 31st. I haven't been here for all 31, but this will be our 31st gala, and we are approaching raising $1 million that we in turn give back to the schools. And we're pretty darn excited about that, and we hope you are too, and that you want to come and buy a ticket or make a donation or purchase a raffle ticket or something along those lines. So you will hear more about this through an email from the district. You'll probably see something in the Herald because they're a great supporter of the Ed Foundation as well. And we just hope everybody marks their calendar, comes themselves, brings a friend, brings more than one friend, and continues to support us to ultimately support our students.
Thank you.
Sure. So,
Want to do the
Shall
check?
we?
Sure.
Just before we take the check, I
Yeah.
just want to thank the foundation. This is my first time working in a district where there is such a high level of support that we actually have an educational foundation, and it is really such a unique gift and partnership. So we are so thankful to all the members of the foundation for all the work that they've done. The fact that you have donated nearly $1 million is such an incredible achievement, and we thank everyone for their generosity. You will definitely see some informational flyers from the district, and I do believe, Dr. Walsh, we will need our TV production studio kids to do maybe some short infomercials about the upcoming event on April 1st.
That'd be fantastic, thank you.
Yes.
Great idea. See, this is how the ideas fly.
This is generally how it goes, except we're in a circle.
Yes. But it's really wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you.
So this year, we were, for this season, as I said, there were 3 grants. It's nearly $15,000.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Take care. Thank
See you all April 1st.
Okay. Moving on. I'd like to now introduce Carol Rosetto to present on our athletics and physical education and health programs. Ms. Rosetto. Hold on, we're going to pull that up for you there, Carol. Probably the end.
Okay.
Got it. Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to present on behalf of physical education, health education, and athletics, where we feel successful students demonstrate competency, collaboration, and citizenship. In physical education, there is a chance to improve every day. We teach our students healthy habits and reinforce the positive relationships between physical activity and academics. Physical education provides concrete instruction on how to improve physical health through a variety of activities. To accomplish this, there are 16 physical education teachers district-wide who serve over 3,300 students who attend physical education classes 3 times a cycle for a total of 20 minutes. And all curriculum is based on the New York State Learning Standards for Physical Education. We begin with the kindergarten through 3rd grade levels, which we feel is the instructional foundation for all future learning. Units include concepts such as spatial awareness, safety, directionality, cooperative games, and lifelong physical activities, to name just a few. At the 4th and 5th grade level, teachers incorporate all concepts taught in previous years with the introduction of team sports. As we progress to the middle school, there is a review and practice of skills and concepts learned at the elementary level with the advancement into game-like settings and a deeper focus on personal fitness outcomes. Middle school physical education lessons throughout the year are infused with fitness and nutrition components where and when appropriate. As we progress to the high school level, once again, there is a review and practice of skills and concepts learned in previous years with the advancement into authentic game and tournament settings. Lessons at the high school are infused with personal fitness for you components when and where appropriate, and throughout the year, every student has an opportunity to utilize our state-of-the-art fitness center. Now to move on to health, where our teachers educate the whole child, making the connection between physical health, mental well-being, and academic performance. Lessons emphasize the habits and behaviors we wish our students to cultivate over the course of their lifetimes. The health curriculum currently offered in 5th, 7th, 10th, and 12th grades are aligned with the New York State Health Education Standards and Guidance document. Middle school and high school health education classes focus on teaching students the 7 personal and health-related skills of self-management, relationship management, stress management, communication, decision-making, planning and goal setting, and self-advocacy. Once these skills are learned and practiced, they are applied to the functional knowledge units of nutrition, fitness, human sexuality, mental health, tobacco and vaping, as well as alcohol and other drugs. As we move into the athletic arena, which offers the development of specific physical skills, game strategies, and focuses on a collaborative goal while allowing each athlete an opportunity to pursue an individual goal that is meaningful to them. Sports in RVC provide another opportunity for our students to improve every day at something they love to do. Rockville Center offers 56 varsity, JV, and middle school teams and employs 120 coaches. We have over 650 middle school athletes participating on 20 teams across 4 seasons, and over 990 high school athletes participating on 36 across 3 seasons. And our students engage in over 1,100 interscholastic athletic events per year. Our highly qualified coaches all hold valid and current certifications that are monitored on an ongoing basis throughout the year and verified before each season. These requirements include fingerprinting clearance, as well as first aid for coaches, CPR, AED, concussion management, child abuse, school violence, and DASA certifications. Each coach has also completed all coaching coursework required by New York State within the allotted time frame. Rockville Center takes student safety very seriously. We are among the first schools in New York State to require all 7th through 12th grade student athletes who participate in high-contact sports to maintain a current baseline brain function test. This impact test measures reaction time, short-term memory, as well as word and shape recognition. It is a 20 to 30-minute computer-based test, which is valid for 2 years, and offers a pre-injury baseline measurement for each athlete. If a head injury occurs during the season, the impact test would be re-administered post-injury, and the two tests would be compared by a physician and used as an additional measure to assess brain function and recovery. All Southside athletes are properly equipped and meet all safety regulations set forth by Section 8, New York State, and the National High School Athletic Associations, as they pertain to each specific sport. All Southside athletic equipment is inspected regularly, as per regulation, and replaced or repaired whenever the need arises. All safety protocols are reviewed during the preseason coaches meeting, and acknowledged in writing by each coach. All game-specific safety requirements are reviewed by Section 8 officials with coaches and players before the start of each game. An additional layer of safety has been added regarding the baseball and softball batting cage, netting, and L screens, which now requires our coaches to conduct a pre-use safety assessment on any days these nets are in use. After inspection and before use, coaches will sign off on the indoor batting cage, netting, and L screen assessment form that is hung in the auxiliary gym throughout the season. Coaches will also carry an additional log to practices every day and sign off on that log before using their portable L screens on the field. In addition, all coaches and athletes are required to wear batting helmets at all times while inside the batting cage in the aux gym. A big component of maintaining safe fields and courts is to work with our building and grounds crew on a daily basis. They maintain the fields and ensure that all of our nets are placed appropriately and are in the best condition. These too are repaired or replaced as needed. In the delicate balance of academics and athletics, our student athletes learn commitment, time management, self-sacrifice, discipline, hard work, and the importance of striving for self-directed improvement in their chosen sports, all while balancing their academic responsibilities. And clearly, Southside athletes do this very well. Since the 2017 introduction of the School of Excellence Award at the state level, Southside has either been a school of excellence or a school of distinction within New York State. To be a school of distinction, 100% of Southside varsity teams have earned scholar athlete recognition, which requires at least 75% of each team's roster to have a GPA of 90% or over. RVC also offers the internationally recognized Athletes Helping Athletes program, where high school student athletes in grades 10 through 12 visit fifth grade classes talking about how involvement in sports taught them the value of things such as hard work, not giving up, and goal setting. During visits, our high school students also speak about the importance of displaying good sportsmanship, citizenship, and ethical behavior, both in school and out, as well as the importance of getting involved in athletics, arts, music, and clubs over destructive behaviors. And as a culminating event, our high school AHA members organize a field day, which we call Fun Day Monday, which gives the fifth graders from all buildings an opportunity to meet and play together before stepping into the middle school the following year, which for some of our fifth graders may seem a little scary. Every year, Southside athletic teams participate in league, conference, division, class, county, all Long Island, and state competitions. The 2021 season alone resulted in 76 all-county, 18 all-county honorable mention, 76 all-conference, 43 all-division, 1 all-class, and 1 all-league award, as well as 1 All-American, 2 All-American honorable mention, 2 academic All-American, 6 All-State, 1 All-State honorable mention, 19 state qualifiers, and 3 All-Long Island athletes. In addition to 1 state runner-up, 1 state qualifying, 1 county, 2 division, and 5 conference championship teams, and 8 county, 23 division, and 6 individual conference champions. Then we have our 3 conference coaches of the year, plus our 26 scholar athlete teams. All of this team and individual success results in many Southside students continuing their athletic endeavors at the D1, D2, and D3 collegiate levels. Last year alone, the Cyclones had 21 student athletes recruited in the sports of girls lacrosse at the College of Holy Cross, Quinnipiac, Albany, Cornell, Pittsburgh, and Emerson. For boys lacrosse at Catholic University, Marist, Tampa, Muhlenberg, and Loyola. Baseball at Binghamton. Girls soccer at Duquesne. Girls swimming at Duke and Rawlings. Girls basketball at Manhattanville. Boys cross country and track and field at Scranton. Football at Utica. Softball at Mount St. Mary. Girls volleyball at Scranton. And wrestling at Case Western University. This now brings me to the conclusion of my presentation, and I thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Rosetto. It's great to see not only the breadth and depth of our athletic and PE and health programs, but it's also great to see that our students take all these opportunities and use them to the fullest. I'd also like to thank, I know that on the athletic side, all of the parents that have worked very hard as well on the outside to make sure that kids are getting to practice, doing what they need to do, getting to the weight room in order to achieve that level of success. So thank you very much, Mrs. Rosato.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
I just had some general questions with athletics. I'm happy to see how many teams that we have that we offer to our student athletes, but compared to other school districts of our size, we have less teams and less offerings, which is a concern to me. I know that space is an issue within the district, but there are some teams like bowling and rifle that could take place off-site, obviously, in a bowling alley or at the rifle range over in Uniondale. So I'm just wondering more about how are we thinking about expanding our offerings. I also wonder about cheer. I know we have a cheer team. As far as I know, they're not a competitive team. Is there thought or talk about having them move up into those ranks? A lot of other districts do compete in cheer competitions. So that's one of my first questions.
So to answer that, we are expanding. We're going to recommend as part of the budget, part of the budget process, we will be recommending additional teams. We've worked with the building principals, listened to some of the booster feedback from the booster clubs about, and specifically, we're thinking about adding boys volleyball, okay, at the middle school level to build on the success that we've had for this year. With the varsity level, we are also thinking about adding a JV boys volleyball team at the high school. This will require a little bit of gym space work that we'll be talking about as a result of capital. For example, if we use the Watson gym, we would have to do some installation of the proper supports for a volleyball net if we were going to use that Watson gym for those sports. We're also trying to build on a couple of our other very successful programs. We're going to recommend that, I guess I'm recommending it right now. But we're going to recommend, not to let the cat out of the bag, but we're also going to recommend middle school winter track as to build on our track programs. And what am I forgetting, Carol? Oh, cheer as well, middle school cheer. Again, to build on programs that have grown exponentially. I believe when Carol told me the first cheerleading team was like 9 to 10 girls, and now how many do we have now?
75 tryout.
75. So we want to build on the successful programs that we have. That's one of the themes you'll see even when we get to my presentation tonight, is that there are so many strengths here, we can build and expand and enhance on those.
And the second question that I had, we had an email from some parents with the hockey team. Do we have a follow-up to any of their
Yeah.
questions?
So we have asked Ms. Rosetto, she's been working to get all of the info in that email from parents. They specifically listed how other districts recognize their hockey team. So we're in the process now of trying to understand how they recognize them, because it wasn't really spelled out. So we've reached out to all of those districts, and we'll have further information for the board at the next meeting.
So by the next meeting, we should have an answer for those parents?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I just had thank you for your presentation. I noticed in the additional safety procedures, I'm really happy to see that new implementation of the L screens and the sign-off sheet by the coaches for the safety of the equipment. Are those procedures and that recording procedure utilized in any of the other sports, like gymnastics, and the updating of making sure that the equipment is set up properly, dismantled properly at each event. I know a lot of the sports may not have specific requirements like baseball, softball, but gymnastics would, and maybe some others. Do we utilize that procedure for those?
The custodial staff sets it up and breaks it down, and the coaches check every day. I can very easily add a sign-off sheet, but
Just-
we,
It seems like such a great
Easy
thing
enough.
that then there's an accountability of who's doing what, and that seems to be great here.
Easy
So
enough,
it might work for others.
I could post it right up at the middle school.
Right, thanks.
Something we can put into place, no problem.
And the other thing I wondered about is athletes helping athletes. There's an application process. How are the students aware of that process, and when does that happen?
It's actually just began, it usually right after Regents testing. So I do morning announcements, posters on the wall. The existing AHA members can recommend anybody they feel would be a good match for the program. And then they come into my office, I send them the application, I give them a little bit of a rundown of what we expect, how different this club is versus other clubs. And that's how it gets out.
So can you just apply if you're an athlete and you're interested, or you have to be recommended by?
No, you can apply on your own, but I also go out and say, I use my existing members and say, go out and recommend people you feel would be a good match for this program because they're in the program. But then I announce, morning announcements, anybody could apply. Notices are, will go up on the wall. So it's open to any athlete, basically.
Thank
Would-
you.
You're
That would
welcome.
be consistent with other clubs as well, right, at the high school when we do
Other
different
clubs,
things
you
like
don't
that.
need a written
Right.
application,
Right. Okay.
that I know of anyway.
Hi, Carol. Thanks so much.
Hello, thanks, Sam.
Just wondering if you could give everybody, in the community an update on what it was like to have assistant coaches this year, because I think that was a huge addition last year.
It was
It is.
fabulous.
It
Right,
is.
It still
Yeah.
is.
In what, it is, yes. A couple of times, I really noticed it with, somebody got sick and got COVID, and we had the assistant coach, and there was no blip. In the tryouts were better, I don't know about more organized, but more eyes on it. They each takes a different element. It's really been a fabulous addition. The coaches are thrilled.
I'm glad.
Coaches
It's
are thrilled,
a Big
yeah.
investment to the program, and I think
Yes.
it helps.
Yes.
So I'm happy to hear that. Thank you. Just two questions I had. In terms of athletes that, it's wonderful that they're going to all of these colleges. I know I've heard over the years, Booster Club parents have asked, what happens in the process when students are applying for colleges? Do we have any sort of athletic portfolio that we help the students to build to help them with their college endeavors, looking into playing sports in college? Like, what supports does the school offer to the students that are looking to pursue athletics after high school?
So their guidance counselor and really the varsity head coach, their coaches, help
Okay.
them through the process. It's very different for different sports.
Right.
Yep.
So it's really the coaches and the guidance counselors.
So I know for a fact that, our head varsity lacrosse coach will call coaches, college coaches about students, and will take calls about, for example, is this player a good kid? Do they do studying? They give recommendations. They also help them with, ideas about putting their film package together.
Yep.
Which is really big, particularly with game highlights. So I know that that's part of it as well.
Great. And to that end, just my last question was about live streaming. So COVID has brought us some blessings and some curses, but one of them was the live streaming. So I'm just curious, when it comes to some of the live streaming, I noticed that some of them don't have audio. Is that something that we just don't have the capability for in our gym? Is that something that we could consider doing?
We have the capability. In the gym, you hear every comment made by every fan. The camera's right over the fans, so it's turned off for that reason.
I'm just wondering if it's something we could rethink, right?
Yeah.
Because if you do watch, and we do watch them at home, and it sometimes is a little, even just to my other question, you're trying to build packages for students, and sometimes having audio does help in some of these instances. I don't know if maybe moving the camera could be considered,
I
or
think we'd
something
have
we
to
could think
look to
about.
see if the opposite side of the gym
Right.
would be something that we could do.
Right.
Again, depending on the mic and how the setup is, I do know that occasionally, from time to time, the comments in some of the games, you may not want broadcast over the air.
Right.
Yeah.
But just, you know,
Just something
all
we
in
c-
good passion.
Yeah.
All in
You
good
could have a
passion.
7-second delay.
Yeah.
They do.
Then I got somebody on the
But-
mute button. I have
But the
somebody on mute
problem
button.
is there's no mute button. Yeah.
That we don't have the capability for in terms of mute, but we can certainly look into that. I know that we've done a couple of different games, like some of the more rivalry games we've done where we've had varsity media come.
Right.
You know, so there's a cost associated with
Yeah.
that on, you know, sometimes the district picks up some, sometimes the parents paid for them in the past. So that's something that if we're interested in that, we would have to have a conversation about, and it would have budgetary implications as
Right.
well.
Yeah, if we could just get an idea of what it would
Sure.
cost and how it could be done, because if you do watch some, when our students play at other gyms, and if they have audio, sometimes it makes a difference, so I just was curious
I
about
believe,
it.
Carol, varsity media is about, what, 400 a game?
To just film the game,
Yeah.
it's $250. To have the whole announcing packet set up is $450 again.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your presentation. I like the focus on healthy competition and lifelong fitness and health. And on that note of health, just to be clear for parents whose children maybe haven't reached health class yet, the maturation program for parents is 5th grade, and then students take health in 7th, 10th,
10th and
and
12th.
12th.
Correct.
Okay. And in terms of, I know we hear a lot about curriculum and professional development for our teachers widely. Are there also professional development opportunities for health and fitness PE
Yes.
teachers?
So, so all the PE and health staff obviously have free reign to the district catalog. And then we are also part of a PE Health Consortium, which offers professional development year-round. On the years where we have Election Day, Superintendent's Conference Day, my staff as a whole attend the PE Health Consortium. Sometimes it's at, like, the health component is at Adelphi, and the phys ed component is at Hofstra, so depending on where it is, we go, but we go as an entire staff, K through 12. And then over the years, not necessarily yearly, but there'll be a staff member that will attend the Nassau Zone Conference or the Health Net conferences. I usually attend the New York State PE Conference. We usually have another phys ed teacher attend as well. When we attend those conferences, we turnkey train once we get back into the district.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. On to the next one.
Microphone up, next person.
Yeah, I'll go there. Yep. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Board of Education, our cabinet, building administration, and the faculty, parents, and students that have provided all of the feedback we have garnered over the last 6 months to bring you our presentation of curriculum and instruction, courses, and program recommendations for next year. Our goal this evening is to outline some of the proposed changes to course offerings and curriculum that are historically robust and academic program already has. Our process began with feedback from several stakeholders. Our administrative team started out setting out to design ways to gather feedback. So we started out with meetings with administration, with faculty, PTA meetings, meeting with parents, community members, business owners, students, and teachers, all seeking to understand what makes Rockville Center a great place to teach and learn. We also designed a survey in conjunction with the Board of Education, feedback about trying to get more feedback from the community. What came through was clear. Like every successful organization, we have great strengths and great processes, and we still have opportunities to grow and improve. 3 themes emerged from our meetings. Number 1, through the survey and through all of our meetings, there were 3 different components that we saw over and over again. We saw that our students were asking for coursework and content with increased relevance. What does that mean? The typical 10th grader will often ask you, when am I ever going to need to know this? Right? When am I going to need to know this in real life? So that's one of the things that we're trying to do in our new coursework. We also heard loud and clear from our parents, from our students, and from our teachers that there were opportunities to expand choice. And then finally, on the elementary level in particular, we heard feedback from parents and students that they are looking for a higher level of challenge and more coherence and alignment on the elementary level among all 5 of our buildings. So, all of these themes are predicted on ensuring opportunities to include parents and students as part of the process. With those 3 themes in mind, we wanted to make sure as we designed our curriculum offerings this year that we maintain our high expectation. That is the key. What has made Rockville Center a great place is that maintenance of a high expectation for our students. Second, we wanted to expand opportunities in terms of what are the new things that our students might look to choose or study that has been different from years in the past. And then third, we wanted to have options in how we support our students and how we support our students learning in new opportunities. So I'll start with elementary. In elementary, one of the existing structures that is already a great place for change is our Stellar program. So what we wanted to do here was take a look at our Stellar program as an opportunity to infuse some new ideas. Now, I can tell you that a lot of the work was done through the committee that we have that's studying coding, robotics, and computer-assisted design and engineering. So we had all of our Stellar teachers on as part of that process under Dr. Moriarty's direction. We listened, we looked at what we currently did, looked at the survey data, and then realized there were gaps that we can address what the community wants, which came through very strong and clear in all of our levels, that Rockville Center parents, teachers, and students are looking for more opportunities for students to learn computer science, research, robotics, and engineering. So, as part of this, we are infusing in Stellar for next year. You will hear the specifics at that committee report in the spring. Opportunities for coding through our new Kid Oyo coding platform, robotics, which we are using VEX, not only at the high school and middle school now, but we're bringing the VEX robots down to the elementary, and then engineering, which is computer-assisted design, 3D printing, those types of things. All of this happens in the context of research, where we're asking students to learn about these processes and go through a whole design thinking process. We also utilize research skills through the library as well in a traditional way. We're very excited about our recommendations here. We're also very excited, our teachers are very excited to learn about some of these new opportunities. We've already had several opportunities for our Stellar teachers to learn the Kid Oyo coding platform, and we've already launched Kid Oyo on the elementary and middle school and high school level. I'll give you a quick example. This one happened by accident. I happened to go to Riverside, and we had opened up the Kid Oyo platform, and I threw out a challenge to a number of 5th graders there, and I said, anyone that reaches in maze code level 18, you'll get something special. Well, I might have kicked off a problem with all of the 5th grade because they all did it very, very quickly. And now I owe T-shirts and pizza parties all over the place. So sometimes when you build it, they will come. So we're really excited about this component of the recommendation. Second, there are 3 different things that we're proposing for next year. Number 1, we started out this year using Mystery Science as a pilot program. This is an inquiry-based program that allows students hands-on experiments and opportunities to learn science concepts through a fun and innovative curriculum. This pilot was very successful. Our feedback from some of our teachers was that they really liked the pilot and that this is something we should consider doing K-5. Through Dr. Moriarty's work with all of our elementary teachers and our elementary principals, we are recommending that we implement this K-5 science curriculum next year. The second thing might seem like a blast from the past from people that have been here before. Enrichment for All was something that was done here in Rockville Center on the elementary level about 3 or 4 years ago. And that implementation was disrupted by a global pandemic. And it's something that we want to talk about again, so we're asking Dr. Moriarty to work with our teachers and our administrators to decide if Enrichment for All is something that we wish to continue to work with or something that we think might have passed its time. Now, the Enrichment for All model allows for students to have different opportunities to investigate and explore new concepts for their passion. At the same time, supporting student development of writing skills, research skills, math skills, science skills, and social studies concepts. The last component of the elementary education piece that we're recommending is, as an IB school, the IB program provides a consistent educational philosophy and approach to teaching and learning that I think is one of the best things I've ever seen as a teacher. Right now, in Rockville Center, we have the diploma program for the 11th and 12th graders. We have the middle years program at the middle school, and nothing at the elementary in terms of relation to that approach. Now, if you take into conjunction the fact that we could have a consistent and coherent philosophical alignment from K-12, and also at the same time elevate rigor, provide students opportunity for exploration and inquiry, and most importantly, align all 5 of our elementary schools. One of the recommendations I have to the board is that we establish a committee next year to study the implementation process and make recommendations mid-year next year. So we would use some of this time for the remainder of this year and early next year to make a recommendation to the board. The thing I like the most about the PYP program, again, is coherence. Over and over and over again from the elementary survey, we heard that our 5 elementary schools all do great things. They absolutely do. But the students, in terms of equality of experience, was not always the same. Not necessarily bad, but not always the same. So we're looking to implement something that Rockville Center has done historically very, very well, and a philosophy that's familiar to our upper grade level students. At the middle school, again, one of the things that I was very happy to see when I first came here was how many great structures we have put in place to enhance teaching and learning. So we already have to build on these existing structures and incorporate the feedback from our K-12 climate survey, the feedback from our ELA curriculum review committee, the 6 to 8 math committee that's currently working on our mathematics review and alignment of topics 6 to 8, and utilize classes that we've historically given. So in 6th grade, right now there's a Strap for Life class that the majority of our students take. In looking at that class and working with Ms. McGinn and middle school teachers and working with middle school administrators, we felt like this was a good place, again, to take the feedback from our climate survey where parents are asking at the middle level for more opportunities to code, to infuse a 10-week coding unit for 6th grade. There are some students that don't take Strap for Life. They may have an extra support, they may have a music, they may have something else that does not have that in their schedule. So one of the options I asked Ms. McGinn, and she was really great about doing this, and we have a wonderful new librarian at the middle school. He's also going to use the library lunch to infuse that same opportunity for kids that they would have that if they didn't have the Strap for Life class. So we're trying to make sure that we have equal opportunity for everyone. In grade 7, we had an exploratory class. When I first came here, we had a meeting with Ms. McGinn, and we were talking about a number of different things that she did at the middle school. I actually didn't even work here yet. And we were talking about all of the different options that we had, and she was telling me a little bit about the exploratory class and how right now it was on a 13-week unit, so 13-week rotations, and that she was trying to align it a little bit more better with the quarter system, which would be about a 10-week unit. So in that alignment, we decided to take a look, again, following feedback from the climate survey, and infuse 10 weeks of coding and 10 weeks of robotics in 7th grade. 8th grade, all our students in 8th grade have the opportunity to take electives. One of the more traditional electives has been food science and Tech 8. But we're also adding 2 new opportunities for kids in terms of choice and options. We're adding a coding and robotics elective in 8th grade. I do know that Ms. McGinn has already set that out to the 7th grade students, and they have begun to register, and both already have a large number of students in that class. So we're cautiously optimistic that we're going to be able to run 2 or 3 sections depending on each one of the offerings, and we're cautiously optimistic the students are really going to enjoy that. The goal here in 8th grade coding is to prepare them for more advanced computer science electives at the high school, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So again, the goal was utilize what we currently have and look for opportunities to grow and improve. at the same time as offering students choice and opportunity. So, we're also doing a number of, we're also recommending a number of different curricular changes at the middle school. Number one, as part of the K-12 ELA curriculum committee, we are currently making recommendations to revise the 6 to 8 ELA curriculum. We are also revising and aligning the 6 to 8 math curriculum. Once we looked at our data and worked with Ms. McGinn and the administrators and teachers at the middle school, we noticed that there were some gaps in the curriculum and we didn't want to wait. So we've already started that work already. Dr. Moriarty has worked with a consultant from BOCES and the 6th to 8th grade teachers to take a look at our concepts and align them a little bit more consistently. The last thing that we are going to offer at the middle school is for the next year, for our 8th grade students, we are going to offer a grade level mathematics and a grade level science course. This is a new offering here at the middle school. Traditionally, we have double accelerated our students in earth science and mathematics, all of our students. Now, it is crucial to understand that we have had a history of great success with both. But we also recognize that there are students that have not been successful and parents that are looking for different options. So, let's talk about the process for this class. Number one, and you're going to see this slide a lot, okay? We're going to keep coming back to this slide because it's really important. Number one, we want to emphasize a team-based approach. So, if I'm the parent of a 7th grade student and I have a question about how my student can enroll in an 8th grade grade level math class or an 8th grade science class, what does that look like? Number one, it is our expectation that we can support, and history will provide the backup for this, we can support the vast majority of our students, over 90% of our students historically, in either algebra or science. So we are defaulting all of our students into algebra and science. However, we listened, and some of our parents are looking for a different option. So, if a parent has a question about those two courses, they contact their child's guidance counselor and have a conversation. One of the things that came back over and over and over in the survey was that we need to do 2 more types of communication more frequently. Number one was communicate about the programs, right? So that's my job. That's Dr. Moriarty's job. That's the principal's job. We want to communicate about the programs. Why are they good for kids? Why do we offer them? And how do they help students prepare for beyond K-12? The second component of communication that we're trying to foster is individual communication with parent and teacher, or parent and guidance counselor. Parents want to know more about how their child is doing in either a particular class, a particular grade level, or a particular discipline or subject. So, if a parent has a question about or wants to enroll their child in an 8th grade math or an 8th grade science class, they contact their child's guidance counselor. The guidance counselor will then talk to that child's 7th grade math teacher or science teacher and say, how's Johnny doing in class? If Johnny has like a 98 average, we're probably going to say, historically, we've been able to have a student like Johnny get very successfully through algebra and earth science. But we're going to have the conversation. We're going to try to understand the parents' rationale, and we want the parents to understand the ramifications of the decision and be a partner in that. So, for example, if you don't take earth science, what will probably happen is you'll go to 9th grade and take living environment, correct? Now you have a choice after that about whether you take earth science or chemistry, okay? But algebra, if you take it in 8th grade, you have the opportunity to get to some more high-level math classes if those are the goals you have for you and your child. So we want to make sure that we outline all of the possibilities for your child as an individual. And that's really important to us. The counselors and parents, after the counselor talks to the teacher, would have a conversation, and then the parents and administrators would have a conversation to make sure we're all on the same page. So again, the opportunities for conversation about your child's unique needs, but at the same time, maintaining that high level of expectation with the historical level of success we've been able to demonstrate. We're going to move to the high school now. Let's talk about business. We've already heard about the success of our business program. We are super excited to offer next year the virtual enterprise class at the high school, which is an online simulation where students run a virtual business. In a virtual business environment, there is a competition that's also included with that class, and it allows students to have practical practice in marketing, administration, business administration, accounting, product design, retail, you name it. We are super excited for that class as a really nice complement to our IB business course offering. To give a little credit to the high school, both Mr. Murphy and Dr. Walsh and all of our high school administration, most people do not have 140 or 150 students taking IB business. That's nearly unheard of, to the point where most people have between 6 and 12. Again, if you build it, they will come. However, sometimes we're going to need a bigger boat. And I'm going to get to that one in a minute. The other thing we're trying to do at the high school, we're going to recommend making a course in 11th grade as a math option for students that have completed Algebra 2 that may not necessarily want to go to the 2-year IB math sequence. We're going to call that class Statistics and Probability. The goal here is for students to have the opportunity, after being successful in this class, to go to AP Stat, if that's where they choose, or to go to Math Concepts as 12th grade. We want to make sure that all of our students are able to challenge math courses for each year of their high school experience. Our additional course offering for next year, traditionally, we have always offered an 11th grade English Language Arts class, an 11th grade Social Studies class, Regents level courses co-seated with IB. Now, we have had an incredible rate of success in both of these classes. But we have also heard from some of our parents that occasionally students may feel stressed or have a reason that they would not want to take that class. So, as we did in being consistent with 8th grade, all of our students are automatically enrolled in that co-seated IB class. And if parents want the opportunity for a standalone English Regents class, Regents level class, or a U.S. Social Studies class for 11R, they need to go through, yes, you guessed it, this slide, a team-based approach. Again, the opportunity here, the importance here is to foster communication with students and parents alike, with our professionals. To honor the parents' choice, to honor the parents' request for something different, but at the same time, realize that we have historically been able to support 99% of our learners successfully in each of those co-seated offerings. So I won't go through this slide again, but this slide kind of details the same team-based approach. Some more opportunities at the high school for next year. We are super excited for the first time next year to offer AP, it's called AP CSP, that's AP Computer Science Principles. It is the first level AP Computer Science class that we have. We've already told our students about this, and how many do we have, Dr. Walsh? 76 students have already enrolled. Again, we're going to need a bigger boat. So, but I want the audience to understand that there was a desire for coursework like this. There was a desire to have opportunity to engage in computer skills and technology skills that are really important. If you look over to the right, you'll see 3 different color, I don't know what the shape that is, oval, whatever. But over the next few years, we plan on putting in a 4-year sequence of computer science. So next year, we're going to start with AP Computer Science Principles. The year after, we're going to offer AP Computer Science, which is really more Java-based programming. In 25-26, we're going to offer IB Computer Science, which is an additional computer science class that IB offers and would fit with our diploma program. And then, last but not least, we just saw this. This is a demo class for IB this year, which is called IB Digital Society, which has some amazing units about artificial intelligence, quantum computing, very exciting stuff at the highest level. And it was just piloted this year. It will be fully taught next year, and we're going to look to move that course as part of one of our high school offerings. Again, we know, and I've been here enough at this point at the high school, where even kids that go to the bio club, I went to a bio club one time, and they first said, we heard that the elementary has coding, can we get some too? So these were kids that were interested in the bio club, but they want to learn Python programming because it's really important about when you're trying to set up research and working with different high-level sets of data for research. So in this particular student's case, I gave her access right away, along with the entire biology club to the platform, and then one of the students already mastered the Python course that's in there. And I gave it to her like mid-October, and it was done mid-November. So again, there's an opportunity here. We're looking to make sure that our students have and can engage in this opportunity. Some more at the high school. One of the things we found when listening, and this came directly from students, several of the students approached Dr. Walsh and some of their guidance counselors along with the teacher about our advanced music courses. Right now, our advanced music courses do not receive course weight for an advanced music course. So for example, if you are taking a high-level chorus class or a high-level instrumental or orchestra class, you do not receive a grade weight on the transcript. So we found that some of our really dedicated musicians were torn about taking a class that has weights because they're worried about their GPA and what college they're going to get into, and their passion for music. So we really wanted to make sure that our students can do both. So it's based on the recommendation of the students and teachers, and working with Dr. Walsh and the high school administration, we're going to recommend that our advanced music classes next year have course weight consistent with other higher level classes. Health, I'm going to skip career-related program for a second. Health, right now at the high school, the vast majority of our students take a quarter of health in 10th grade and then a quarter of health in 12th grade. This is atypical in most places. So what we're recommending to do is more typical in that we are going to move health next year for the 10th graders to 10th grade as a full half-year class so that they can, in 10th grade, meet the requirement right away. Now, that doesn't mean we have to abandon our 11th and 12th graders that they can't now fulfill their requirement and thus not graduate. So for the next 2 years, we're going to need to offer the quarter health class that we've typically offered in 12th grade. So again, this is trying to make sure that we're addressing something for our future students and making sure that our students in 11th and 12th grade can still meet all the requirements they need for graduation. It also offers us the opportunity, once health is in 10th grade, to have health electives further on down the road, because our students will have the base level course in 10th grade and allow to build on maybe a half-year health elective in 11th or 12th grade. Career-related program. The career-related program, or CP as it's known, is also an international baccalaureate program. It applies the same philosophy for career-related courses as does the diploma program, as does the MYP, as does the PYP. Again, it's about good teaching and learning. But it flows from the feedback we've gotten from particularly the high school kids. Our high school kids tell us, we want more courses that are related to things we see as future careers. So one of the things we're asking, again, from the board is for, Dr. Moriarty's got a lot of work, for Dr. Moriarty to look into, along with Liz Nister-Cross and Dr. Walsh and the high school administration, to look into the career-related program options for next year. So this is not something that we're looking to implement right away in September. This is something that's going to take a little bit of time in terms of trying to build and think thoughtfully. You know, we've already met with the North American head for IB today. We had a long meeting today, and one of the things we asked about was the different options that we can make under the career-related program. One of the things that we've been thinking about, we live in Rockville Center. One of the greatest nursing programs in New York State is a couple miles away. We should be looking to build a career-related course offerings related to nursing. I think that would work really well. There might be the opportunity for students to not only earn potentially some college credit, but also see, without paying $60,000 to $70,000 a year, whether or not nursing is the right thing for them. We also are really lucky that we have 2 hospitals very close, and we've had conversations with a number of our parents that work there about opportunities for students to do internships, perhaps during the summer, perhaps during the year, so that they can get hands-on practical experience to match with the coursework that they're currently doing. So we are super excited about this. We've already had a number of different conversations, not only with Malloy, but we've also had conversations with representatives from each of the local area hospitals. Number one, that we're thrilled for even the idea, because they're telling me nursing candidates are also hard to come by. That there's a nationwide nursing shortage. It's a great paying job. It's a fulfilling job because it's something that ultimately you're helping other people. So those are our course offerings at the high school, but this is the big one. Okay, so if you are an IB diploma candidate, one of the things you have to take as a senior is the theory of knowledge class. I have to tell you, I've been to the theory of knowledge class 5 or 6 times at this point, each with different course sections. It might be the greatest class I've ever seen, ever, okay? It was new to me, not coming from a school that did IB. But the level that these students converse about deep topics and understanding how truth is constructed, not only for them, but for all, was something that I've been blown away by. Absolutely blown away by. We historically have always given the theory of knowledge class in 1 year senior year. Next year, what we're trying to do is 2 approaches. Number one, for our seniors next year, we're going to offer that class as a 1-year class, which has been traditional here in Rockville Center. Most places, most schools that do the TOK class, as it's known, TOK, most places implement it over a year and a half, meaning they start junior year and it goes over 2 years. So not only are we going to offer for our senior diploma candidates next year TOK as 1 year, but we're expanding the TOK offering to juniors next year in the more traditional year-and-a-half model. Now, you might say, well, what are you going to do in a year and a half that you couldn't do in a year? One of the things that's really important to our junior year 11th grade students that are diploma candidates is integrating research skills as they prepare for their essay and final project. So a large amount of that first year class will be not only the beginning units of TOK, but also the research skills to help put them on the path to successfully meeting the requirements of their essay and project. So that's next year. So that's, again, we're offering the 1 year for the seniors, the 2 year for the juniors. In 24-25, we're also going to continue. If you look at the blue slide all the way on the right, the little blue emblem on the right, we will continue to offer the 2-year TOK diploma for candidates with integrated research skills. So again, like we do this year, we're going to continue that in 24-25. Now, we recognize that the importance of TOK, and in the rise of, I know the board knows this, and I sure know that our cabinet knows this, I'm a little bit obsessed with artificial intelligence and how fast it's been moving lately. And one of the things that we know from the internet kids experience is that not everything on the internet is real. And students are really going to need to be equipped with the thinking skills they need to discern real from fake. And one of the things I think can do that is to open up the TOK class for any senior that's interested. So not just IB diploma candidates, it's our recommendation. Mr. Murphy and I and Dr. Walsh had an incredible conversation around this, along with Dr. Moriarty and the TOK teachers. That was exciting for all of us in terms of TOK for all. Next year, if you happen to be a junior that has a very robust filled schedule, for example, you're taking IB physics and IB chemistry, IB bio, whatever that might be. Some of our students are jam-packed junior year. If that's the case, we're not going to try to jam in the half-year TOK class as a junior. We're going to maintain that 1 year TOK class for them to take as seniors so that they can fulfill their graduation, their diploma requirements, and also, pursue their passion in terms of science. There might be a couple other different options that may be a case. We'll talk to their guidance counselors. So we are very, very excited about all of our course offerings here. I told you you'd see this thing again. We are also, again, taking a team-based approach. So if parents have questions about TOK, if parents have questions about the 11th grade standalone Regents classes, if they have questions about health, contact your guidance counselor. We've had extensive meetings with the guidance counselors at both the middle school and the high school about how we should be communicating and how we should be talking about all these different options. They're excited to speak with all of their parents and discuss the opportunities and possibilities with you. Again, to wrap up, first and foremost, there's no way we could do this much work next year without the hard work of our building administrators, Mr. Murphy, Ms. Love, and most importantly right now, Dr. Moriarty. This is her area. She has been an unbelievable leader in this in putting this presentation together, and we think that we found a wonderful balance between ensuring high expectations for all, options for parents that want them, and structures for communication, all to build on the tradition of success Rockville Center has always had. I think I'm done. Questions, comments? Oh, points of contact, I'll put this up there right now. So this will stay up there during the questions. These are all the different points of contact that a parent can go through. Again, a child's counselor. If you have questions about the high school program in particular, you can call Director of Guidance Kelly Ramsey, or Dr. Walsh, the high school principal. I read it wrong. Middle school program, Kelly Ramsey, who is our Director of Guidance, or Sheila McGinn. For special education, Ms. Love, and Dr. Moriarty for curriculum. And if you have questions as a whole about, the direction or vision about where we're going, I'd be happy to answer any questions in terms of email or phone calls, or even set up a meeting. So, with that, can I turn over to the board?
Thank you, Mr. Gavin.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from board members?
Sure, I'll get started. I'm sure there are plenty of questions, so I'll get us started. I think that, thank you for this very thoughtful and comprehensive program. There's clearly been thought about every level, from K to 5, through the middle school, through the high school. And I think that, there are good reasons why, as you say, the Rockville Center School District has had a history of excellence, a tradition of doing things maybe a little bit differently than a lot of other districts do, and having the success that we've had shores up and really, helps us to grow on our strengths. I think it's really important that philosophically, we never want to be a place that puts gates up, right? If anything, we take the ceiling off the roof and we let the kids fly. We give them opportunities and they soar. And some of your examples showed that, right? You open up a window to coding and they take off. I'm so happy to hear about the introduction of AP Computer Science. This is something that has been on my mind and in lots of discussions that we've had in PTA meetings over the years. I think this is going to be such an important aspect for our students, because what I'm seeing as someone who works in a college and also as someone who's been a parent of a high school senior many times in the last few years, colleges are expecting a certain level of familiarity in this area, right? Whether it's proficiency in programming languages or an understanding of the principles, it's not as easy to apply to a college and switch into the College of Engineering anymore. You sort of have to know a little bit earlier than you used to have to know. So I think that is a really important strength, and it will give our students options. And I think that's, one of the things that comes through across this presentation are more choices, more options. I think that new statistics and probability course is also a very smart idea. It sort of aligns with an applied math, right? I can see that as a math that if a student knows, they might major in sociology, psychology, a social science, nursing was another good example. That would be the appropriate math to take, right? That there are thoughtful choices available. And I think one of the things that I'm hearing across the presentation is this increased opportunities for conversation, right? This has to be one of the goals throughout the continuous cycle of improvement that our district is always looking to look for more chances to make sure that, as a parent, I want to feel confident that the teachers and the guidance counselors and the administrators know my kid, right?
right.
Do you know my child? Do you know what's an appropriate level of challenge? Do you know, based on their prior achievement, but also maybe their future goals, what's the right selection of coursework? And I think that's a really important highlight here.
I think, your point is well taken, to go back to computer science. One of the things that we hear over and over again, even for students that don't go directly in computer science for our alumni, is that idea of algorithmic thinking, understanding how an algorithm can, in some cases, help you do work, but can also, in some cases, make choices for you. So I think that's a really key piece for that. In terms of conversation, I've had the opportunity, I haven't gone to all the schools yet, I'll finish them up next week, but I've had the opportunity to go to all the schools and meet with teachers that just want to talk about the survey. And one of the examples that we use over and over again is I ask them, how many of our teachers have been to parent-teacher conferences? Most of them raise their hand, right? And then I say, how many of them, would define a successful parent-teacher conference, and how would you do it? And one of the things they talk about over and over again is it's successful if I know exactly what you said, in terms of they know my child and they have a plan for my child. Those are the two things that we find are most important in terms of that. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much.
The other thing that I've sort of was thinking as we were going through the list of the new options, particularly, 9th through 12th, all of these great new options, all of these new, computer science, the new math, virtual enterprise, all of these are great. However, there still remain 9 periods in a day, right? There are still, so many slots. And as you mentioned, so many of our students with jam-packed schedules, we want to make sure they take lunch.
Yes.
We want to make sure that they have a break. And so, that has to be part of the consideration too, in terms of what credits can you take care of in middle school, so that you open up opportunities for electives that you are older and maybe, by the time you're in high school, you have a little bit of better sense what your interests are than you did when you were 12.
And then sometimes we have to, counsel students that are super high achievers that want to take an IB 9 periods a day, and feel like they can have that level of challenge. We want to say, are you sure about this? And that's, again, the role of the guidance counselor in conjunction with the parents, where we talk with the parents and say, listen, your 11th grader gave me a dream schedule where they would never eat, sleep, or do anything else but go to all of these classes. And we want to, in effect, try to save them from themselves a little bit, because there is a spot that they need to have the opportunity for a downtime, and they need to have the opportunity, particularly if they're going for some of these higher level courses, to do some of the reading and writing work that you can do in a study hall that ensures your success in the classes that you have.
Right. And I think one of the challenges in education anywhere is to prepare students for careers that don't even exist, right?
right.
We can't even imagine who could have envisioned artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency,
That's right.
just a few years ago. And so preparing students into this unknown and rapidly evolving future is part of our mission statement I'm thinking of, but it's also, in some sense, rigorous thinking and problem solving,
Yep.
right? And that seems to me you're developing a sort of, building on the strengths that we have, K to 12, and also getting students to think deeply, carefully, opening up TOK for all, having elementary students do research, in Stellar. I think you are thoughtfully building a scope and sequence that gets children to a point where they understand and feel confident in their ability to learn whatever challenges come.
And that's the goal. That's the goal. I mean, sometimes I think that our current kindergarten students may never have to drive a car. If things are going the way they're going, if you're 5 years old right now, there's a good chance you're going to have a self-driving car in your future. So it's one of those things where, we have to think ahead. And, as Wayne Gretzky says all the time, I use this quote all the time, go where the puck's going to be and not where the puck is. So it's really important that we start to think and involve students in that conversation. And to me, that was I went to Mike Busili's class the other day for TOK with the seniors, and this is what we were talking about. And we were talking about, they were asking deep questions about what are the jobs of the future going to look like, and what are the innovations going to do to our current jobs. And the kids were so on point and so insightful. Like, it's the best thing to do is to go to the classes, go to a kindergarten class, go to a TOK class, the kids lead the way. And they're really amazing. And I really want to thank, all of our TOK teachers that I've had the opportunity to see, and I've seen them all now, because they are preparing students to not only think about what they can do in the future, but what they should do. Because there's a big ethical component involved as well about, not only can we do this innovation, but should we do this innovation? And that's part of an introspection that they're going to need to have, and that's what TOK develops.
That's great. And I think the last question I have, I'm sure my fellow board members will ask as well, with all of these changes, how are we going to measure success? At what point will we know what's working, and what metrics are we going to keep an eye on that we can build in from the get-go?
It's a great question. So a couple of metrics that we can use. Number one would be enrollment in the new course offerings. That would be something small. That wouldn't tell us whether or not it's successful. It might tell us demand. So enrollment in the new course offerings would be one thing that we're going to watch. I would probably have to watch it over 3 to 4 years to see, is this something consistent or is it a bubble in terms of how many kids are enrolling in each class? The second component would be, depending on the course, would be, for example, AP Computer Science Principles, we would look at the results from the AP exams. Okay, are we teaching this effectively? Are our kids, meeting with success in this course offering? The same thing would go for any of the other courses that we talked about. In all of the courses that we talked about, with the exception of Stellar, there is an end of year exam. So we'd be able to use those end of year exams to measure success, if that makes sense. I wouldn't also rush to judgment right away after 1 year or two. There might be a year where, this year we have 76 kids registered for AP Computer Science Principles. I wouldn't necessarily call it a failure if there are 40 next year. So this might be just pent-up demand in 4 grades. We might get only 40 next year because some of those kids are in the high school and they've already taken it. So that has to be part of the analysis as well.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, sure. I want to thank you so much for the presentation, but more importantly, for what the presentation means to our students and our parents and our community as a whole. The changes and enhanced options outlined this evening are indicative of a cultural shift. The collective team assembled of established educators and administrators working alongside the members of the staff and administration are listening. As I've stated many times since Mr. Gavin has taken over the leadership of the school district, the team approach and collaboration are fostering positive changes, new and innovative options, and a promise for an exciting new chapter for Rockville Center Schools, with a return to our strong reputation and rankings that so many of us came to this town for. Thank you to everyone who took the time to add your thoughtful feedback to the survey. From students, teachers, parents, counselors, and administrations, your voices were heard. Thank you to both the special education and the general education families who have advocated for these changes, coming to the microphone, to meetings, writing letters, sharing your personal and difficult stories in the hope of effectuating change that was positive, despite resistance from some. Thank you to the SEP leadership, especially Karen Burgee, who does not appear to be here tonight, for your tireless advocacy so that all voices could be heard. Thank you to John O'Shea, who is here tonight, for listening before anyone else did, and for advocating for all of our children, even if your voice was alone. Thank you to Jeannie Love for coming on board and planting the first seeds of change, for your work alongside Dr. Moriarty and our administration and our teachers have cultivated those seeds and are growing our future. Thank you, Dr. Moriarty, for all of the research that you did, for analyzing everything, and for coming up with such wonderful options with this team. I'm grateful to all of you. You should all be so proud to create the highest quality education for all of our children. So thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? You can go first if you want.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all the information. One thing that impressed upon me also for working in higher ed is keeping the finger on the pulse of what's happening after high school and getting students to be able to think very early on about the things that they have an aptitude or propensity for and being able to pursue those things. Engineering, for an example, just at Hofstra where I work, they've gone from 200 to 900 students in the last few years. And women are really taking to that field at leaps and bounds and turning over amazing careers. And so being able to offer things at the high school, even middle school, engineering at the elementary level is so exciting because we're giving kids, exposure to things that we don't know if they will pursue or not, but they can try and go through trial and tribulation and say, does this feel good on me? Is this something I want to do? And I know the guidance counselors are very in tune to how the students are doing and making those recommendations about course work and kind of putting people on a path. So I think all the things that have been added here really help for students to do that preparation from an earlier age. So I'll start at the elementary level. I been hoping for PYP for a while. I know we've talked about it. I think that we've made such an investment into the IB culture, and it just kind of finalizes the continuum, so I'm really excited about that. My question is, maybe it's an IB question, but you kind of mentioned about the IB diploma, 11 and 12, MYP. I'm just interested in what those 9th and 10th years are like in terms of supporting the IB program as well. So what do we do to make sure that we bridge that gap between MYP, take those learner profiles, continue them through 9th and 10th to bridge them to the road to the IB diploma?
So in the IB program and as part of IB philosophy, there are the approaches to teaching and learning. So those are basically pedagogical techniques that are common throughout the building. So regardless of whether you're in 9th grade or 10th grade, you would still have the opportunity to have those approaches to learning reinforced on a daily basis. So that's the first thing. I've mentioned before that we were in conversation with the North American representative for IB today, and this was some of the conversations that we had about how to strengthen the 9th and 10th grade program. So we are going through a number of different options about how we can do that. The difficulty most New York State districts have is that the MYP program is typically a 5-year program. And because it's a 5-year program, it would spread out between the middle school and the high school, which often doesn't make it aligned. So that's one of the challenges for IB that New York State schools have, that other, like maybe a private school that maybe go to K-8 or do it in a different way may not necessarily have. So that is definitely some of the conversation and will be part of what we are looking at when we look at the career-related program and when we look at the PYP for next year.
All right, great. Thank you. The math class that you mentioned for 11th grade, the stats and probability, is that exclusively for students not pursuing the next level of math, or can that be taken in conjunction with another math?
I don't think we're necessarily closing doors here, but I do think that most of our students that are going to go the IB math route will probably have a schedule that will preclude them from maybe taking another stat class, but we never say never.
Right.
So, that again would be a conversation. If you are a student that is hyper math focused and you want to get another statistics class in conjunction with what you're doing in terms of IB or another math class, then I think that's a conversation you have with your guidance counselor and with the child.
Right.
So for our students, I talked a little bit about the role of the parents and having conversations, but it's also equally important that our students become owners of their own learning the older that they get. You mentioned it before, that an 8th grader may not necessarily make the same choice that an 11th or a 10th grader might. So it's really about that gradual release of responsibility that Dr. Moriarty talks about so much, because we want to empower our students to own their own future. You really talked about that in your comments, and we've heard that as a theme. It's their future, and they need to understand what that is. And so that's why we're giving the possibility to learn more about a potential career before you have to go spend $60,000 to $70,000 a year, or $80,000 or $90,000 a year, depending on where that is, and say after a year of accounting, you're like, this stinks, I want to do something else. So, and that happens. That happens to everyone. So we want to make sure that if you're going to make a decision, you're as informed about that decision as possible before you or your parents go and try to do this on the college level.
I would ask that we definitely take a look at that stats and probability course, because though it's a math course, I agree with Dr. Downing, especially if you've gone there, and both of us have gone through those types of programs on the social sciences, and research is such a big component of that when you're doing a master's thesis, having stats background, not necessarily becoming a math student or going into a math field. So stats and probability, to me, while falling under the auspice of a math program, still has this other avenue that students might benefit from as going forward into some, especially the social sciences.
And
So I would,
you're speaking our language,
Yeah.
because Dr. Walsh, this was part of our conversation as a former reformed math teacher, now high school principal. His passion is math, his passion is statistics, and in trying to come up with an option, it was really important for us to have a bridge between some of the social sciences and what they're going to need to do in terms of research later on.
I appreciate that. I really do. I think that's a great addition. And I have one final question was, could you give us an update on how the Italian program is going? And we haven't really talked about foreign language in this presentation, so I was curious about that, and if there was any conversations about expansion for foreign languages.
Right now, our plan is to continue the one-year program. We had talked about a second year, depending on what the enrollment was, but right now, I would recommend that we're going to keep that as a one-year program.
Okay. Any conversations about further expansion of that, or?
I think that's something that we would talk about down the road.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend it at this time as part of the budget, but it is a conversation that we can have.
Okay. Thank you. I know you like to repeat your team-based approach slide, but I do think it's a great way to kind of start to make students advocates for themselves first and foremost, and then parents as well, because parents know their children very well, and then teachers see them from a different lens every day. So I think the combination of these things together, who are students from 8 to 2 every day, and who are they from 2 to 8 every day? And I think that when you put that all together, that's how we know who the child is. But the child having an opportunity to advocate for themselves and say, yeah, I can do this. I'm very interested in this. How can I get more involved in that? This doesn't feel good on me. This does feel good on me. That kind of data taken from the actual student, and then the combination of the parent and the school, I think together makes a really harmonious choice. And I think we're going to see real individuals emerge here. And I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
You know, the team-based approach is not just the team of teachers and administrators working together, but it's a community. We're a community organization, right? We exist for community students, and we exist within a community of parents that support us in what we do. So it's really important for me as the superintendent to reinforce that collaboration. Because ultimately, we're not turning out widgets. You know, we're trying to make sure that our students have the best opportunities they possibly can and love their life after K-12. It's not just like, am I successful but miserable? You know, it's really about making informed choices that I love what I do. That's really important, because you can make a lot of money and really not like stuff, you know? So we want our students to make informed educational decisions about where they go and who ultimately they become.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this presentation. I am truly very excited about many of the changes that are coming for our students. I did have a couple of concerns and a couple of questions. My first concern, which I have expressed before, is I do have concerns about the approach to accessing some of these classes, specifically Math 8, Science 8, Social Studies 11, English 11, and Math 11. While I understand the philosophy behind the team-based approach, what I'm seeing right now is gatekeeping, which I feel like could create barriers for students to access these courses. The main barrier that I see it creating is a barrier with communication. Our middle school and high school caregivers do not have access to a caregiver-teacher conference where these conversations might happen. That's a problem. So I also know from being a PTA president that you can send out 20 emails, 30 flyers, 15 Facebook posts, and there will still be people who tell you that they did not know. So my real concern is, how are we communicating this to our community? How are we engaging all families in this conversation so that all families and all students are able to make choices that are appropriate for their child? I also feel like we need to be really honest with the community and the fact that there are absolutely no ramifications for electing to take Math 8 and Science 8 if the district is intentional about building on-ramps in 12th grade to AP and IB. I feel like by saying the default is everyone is accelerated, it puts a stigma on the class then for the students who opt to go into the regular class, that what they are doing is not the mainstream. And I think we really need to normalize the fact that a grade level class is completely appropriate and normal for students to take. That not everyone needs to know where they're going in 8th grade. That we provide the options, we provide open enrollment, we support everyone to be the best they can be. We design on-ramps, we push them to get there, and that students can move through their life not thinking that they are less than, that they don't have access to, and that they can become the person that they're meant to be. So that's a real concern that I have.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that, because historically, we can look at our data, and we know that we have a high rate of success in this district for supporting our learners in high-level classes. So I feel very confident that the conversation should be initiated by the parent. I feel very confident that our guidance counselors will be able to have these conversations in a meaningful and individual way that will allow parents to make the best option. In terms of communication, we're doing that communication right now. We're also going to send out, like we typically do, the email that says, here are all the presentations and the board meeting from last night. And all of our students and guidance counselors know what all the options are. That was the purpose of both Dr. Moriarty, sorry, Nicole, and I going to each of the guidance departments with the building principal and Kelly Ramsey to talk through all the options for all of our students. There's no stigma attached, which is why we want our parents involved in the conversation. But we need to recognize the tradition of excellence that we've had here. And we need to recognize the fact that our students historically do very, very well in all of the offerings that we've traditionally done. So I think that's really important to me, and it's really important to our teachers, and I think it's really important to our students as well. So I hear very much what you're saying. I take that, I don't not discount that, but I do feel that the presentation that we made today is something that will allow a balance between both. That will allow the students and parents that want something different with no stigma to go for it. And then, but only under the guidance and conversation with the guidance counselor.
Okay, thank you. And I do hope that all of our families are communicated and we don't find that there are people who did not know that these options exist. The second question I had also revolves around math at the middle school. I understand that we are looking at curriculum, working to realign the curriculum. Now, for a student who opts to take Math 8, there's no need to rush them through 6th grade and 7th grade math. So where do we really start to delineate that process? Because generally, a child who's going to take algebra in 8th grade would take a compacted curriculum, which accelerates pacing. And we don't need that for all students. And that's generally has been, I think, the crux of students who struggle in math is that the pacing is too quick. So how are we addressing that component of this?
We're already looking at the 6 to 8 math curriculum for the rationale of now we have another option. So that work is preliminary. I think we've had, 3 meetings at this point with each of the grade levels?
6.
6 meetings.
Like
Is that
6
two
total.
each? 2 each, yeah, sorry.
Yes, 6.
So we're in the process of unpacking that curriculum, but I would not recommend to the board that we do a differentiated tiers at 6th and 8th grade in terms of a differentiated curriculum. I think there's a way to find a balance that will prepare all of our students for either option in 8th grade.
So all students will then just take the compacted curriculum in 6 and 7.
We're realigning it right now. That's what I'm talking about. So-
I understand
And the other piece
understand
with
that.
this is that in 8th grade, the 8th grade course actually has a lot more topics than the algebra course does. So, one of the things you have to, the 8th grade course is not a not rigorous course. It is, and so is the 8th grade science course. The 8th grade science course is predicated on life science, which then allows students to take biology in 9th grade with all of their peers that might have taken earth science in 8th grade. So we've been thoughtful and intentional in the curricular design, and will continue to be as we go through 6 to 8.
Thank you.
I had one last question that just reminded me of, as of this year, all 8th grade algebra sections are co-taught. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Team
And that
taught.
Team taught. And that will-
Co-taught, co-teaching is a special ed distinction. Team teaching is when there are 2 adults in the room.
Okay, and so all sections of 8th grade algebra are
That's correct.
doing that this year, and that will continue?
That's correct. We're rolling that out for next year.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin, for your presentation. Thank you for listening to our community, to our students, parents, and staff. Thank you and your entire team for asking the questions and being open to maintaining our excellence, as you say, and creating options that were very much wanted by this community. You said the counselors play a really important role, and they do certainly. They're going to be very busy, I imagine, having
They
these
are.
important
They are.
conversations, so I would like to take a moment to thank them as well. The role of the counselor is getting to know our children, as you stated, and having a plan. And it's clear that you and your administration are getting to know our children, and you have a clear plan, and I really very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to policies, we have a policy at stage 1, 7522, concussion management. This was based on suggested changes that we have to make to the existing policy. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I did just have one question in terms of consistency in the paragraph on page 1, concussion management team, the last line, may establish and implement a program which provides information on MTBI to parents and persons in parental relation is as is there, yet that phrase is struck on page 2, information to parents and students. A similar document that may be required from a parent/person in parental relationship is crossed out there. And I'm wondering if is that intentionally different?
No.
Okay.
I will make it consistent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other changes or questions? Move this to stage 2 with that change? Okay.
Yes.
Currently at stage 2, we have 6213, probation and tenure. Any comments or questions? Okay to move this?
Yes.
Thank you. Stage 3, 3415, sexual harassment. Okay to move this for approval at the next meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. 5681, school safety plans. Okay to move this as well?
Yes.
7530, child abuse in an educational setting, child abuse and maltreatment. Okay to move this?
Yes.
And 7531? Okay to move this as well?
Yeah.
Thank you. Opportunity for superintendent, Mr. Gavin.
Okay, so I'm on again, so you're going to hear a lot from me today. A couple of things. The season of red and blue is upon us. It is at my first time with this cultural phenomenon that is unique to Rockville Center. So I wanted to just share a wonderful conversation I had, an experience that I had with several of our high school students. As I mentioned before, I was in one of the TOK classes this week, and we had a large number of our students in both red and blue. And so some of the ladies were commenting to me about, this is the first time we've seen it, what do you think? And I said, I really need to know more about it. You know, we were talking about the captains, and they said, oh, we have 2 captains here. I said, oh, really? And young lady raised her hand and says, I'm captain of the blue team, and she's wearing all red. And then this other young lady raised her hand and says, I'm captain of the red team, and she's wearing all blue. So me thinking I'm having a senior moment, or I'm in the twilight zone at this point, I asked the obvious question. Why are you wearing red if you're the blue captain, and why are you wearing blue? And the answer really brought home to me the importance of this and what is really important about red and blue. And they wear each other's colors in terms of an idea for mutual support and friendship. Excuse me. Every Wednesday, the girls on the teams switch colors, just so they can show solidarity with each other. And I thought that's what's important about red and blue. I know everyone's going to be really excited about the scores. They're going to be really stressed about their dances and their sports and everything else. But what's really important was that all of these kids are coming together to support each other. And to me, I loved that twist on what red and blue is. I thought it was super important. And I thank the kids for informing me and making sure that I wasn't going senile at the age of 50. So all good stuff. The other thing that I mentioned again, the level of conversation that I saw in that class about future innovations was something to behold. And I want to thank basically the district, going all the way back to Mr. Murphy as our reformed high school principal, for leading such a thoughtful development of curriculum that prepares students for what's next. So really well done. We had a great conversation with our teacher. Is that some sort of warning sign? Is that like you're buzzing, like that's my gong, are you done? So I will turn it off right there. But I do want to just, again, thank so many of the teachers. I want to thank the teachers that have met with me voluntarily in large groups to talk about the survey. The interest and earnestness in which I get to meet with these teachers, and they want to say, what are people saying? And one thing that is consistently true is that there's a wide breadth of support for the schools here. A wide breadth. 89% of our respondents from parents support this school district. And that is a strength and a thing to leverage as we grow and offer some new opportunities and try to keep evolving and getting better. So to me, that's a great place to end my superintendent's report, and I will turn it back over to you, Madam President.
Thank you. Opportunity for board members, Mrs. Messier?
I'd like to start by thanking the Ed Foundation for their support of our schools and our students. I'm looking forward to attending the gala on April 1st. I'm excited to hear about the return of Parent University. This is an excellent way to engage the community, and I'm happy that we're looking to our families to drive the topics of the presentations that will be offered on both evenings. Thank you for organizing that. I'd also like to thank our central administration, school building leadership, and our teachers for working together to create new options for students across the K-12 continuum. I appreciate the process, the effort that went into surveying our school community, our teachers and staff, our caregivers, and most importantly, our students. And I appreciate the follow-through, the time dedicated to analyzing the community's responses, and most importantly, to constructing actionable responses. What I most appreciate is the speed in which all of this was completed. Thank you. I'm proud of our administration for recognizing and working to implement a better path forward for our students. As a teacher, I understand the complexity of what new direction and programmatic change means. Change is messy and it's hard, and I truly appreciate our staff's willingness and commitment to moving us forward. Finally, I'd like to offer sincere and heartfelt thanks to the caregivers in our community. We are an integral part of our children's education. We know our children's strengths and areas of struggle. We have hopes and dreams for their futures, and we have fears and worries that need to be considered. Our voices matter, and they belong in every space where decisions are being made regarding our children's education. Thank you to our community for showing up, for raising your voices, and for advocating for change. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Farazani?
I would also like to thank the Ed Foundation for the gift, and in advance, thank the O'Shea Foundation for the gift that they're giving this evening. I'm so happy Red and Blue is back in full force. I wish both teams good luck, although I'll probably be attacked by my child who's on red.
Got to be careful.
Yeah, I know, I walked that line. I do recommend that you get yourself some earplugs, and a big thank you.
I've heard,
Yeah,
I've
you
heard.
need earplugs. And a big thank you to Dr. Walsh for putting up with everything at the high school, because Red and Blue is no easy task. And as Mr. Murphy can tell you, it's a big undertaking to deal with all of that, all the excitement, and yet trying to get kids to actually participate in education while they're so excited and wearing crazy clothes, and so thanks. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Mrs. Hackett?
Thank you also to the Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation and the Ed Foundation. I've attended the event at the gala every year, even before I was on the board, and it really is a special night. They really don't do tons of fundraising, to be honest, for what they end up producing for the children, and it really does go back dollar for dollar. They don't take any of it. They put a lot of work into it, and I really recommend and hope that people can support it, even if it's through a donation, but know that it goes to a good cause, and they do put on a really beautiful event. So hopefully you guys will join us on April 1st. The Red and Blue sentiment is fun. Even as a boy mom, I'm loving it. I love the excitement. I could feel it in the air. Even the little kids are excited about it. They're counting signs and who has more red or who has more blue. And it's a community, real, something that the whole community participates in and is excited about. And I love that story. I didn't know that they did that. Being a boy mom. I didn't
Right,
know.
that's right.
So thank you for telling us that. Thank you to our advisors, by the way, because that's a big take on for them. Big job, and for Carol Rosetto's support as the athletic director. This curriculum and instruction presentation was phenomenal. Really, thank you so much, Dr. Moriarty and Mr. Gavin, for everything you did for that. I really do, like I said before, just appreciate the individual path for every single child here of who they want to be and what they can be, and we believe in them all. So whichever path they choose, we support them, we love them, we want them to feel good about themselves, and we want them to love it. Just on a note of positivity, we've gone through so many different things on the board, and through the district over the last 6 years I've been here, but it's nice to be tapped on the shoulder at a sporting event for somebody to say, wow, everything's been so amazing. Your board meetings are so interesting. I'm watching. Who knows, right? We don't know this. Sometimes we don't have a lot of people coming, but the excitement that people feel by the leadership, everybody here, and back in the back, Mr. Murphy, Dr. Walsh, all of our principals, our administrators, it's being felt, and I think people really appreciate it, and it's just so nice to hear, so I want to share it. Being in the buildings in the last couple of weeks has been really fun, too. We've been doing site visits, and we've been invited as readers, and those are the things I think we all enjoy the most. We're getting to see the kids in their element and in their action, and everybody really looks happy here. So I thank every person that contributes to that happiness for our children every day. It's a big deal for us to entrust them into you every single day. So just a note of gratitude towards everybody here, and to all the teachers and nurses and security guards and custodians that do everything to make our kids happy every day. And the bus drivers, too, by the way. Really, I mean, just every single person that touches our kids' lives. Thank you for all of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Downing?
Thank you. Thank you again to the Ed Foundation and the O'Shea Foundation for your generous donations to our students. We are really lucky to have these organizations that do such good work for our local community. And don't forget, the Booster Bash is also this Friday
That's
as
right,
well.
this Friday.
And so thank you to Ms. Rosetto for the presentation on athletics and phys ed. It really is so important to recognize that body-brain connection, and for our students to learn early how to maintain that healthy and supportive competition like we're talking about with red and blue. And thank you especially to our team that put together these curriculum proposals that we heard tonight. It truly is a team effort that comes across, and I hope that with all of the discussions and the planning and the committees and the meetings that went into making these very serious and thoughtful recommendations, that everyone does feel heard. Our parents, our families, teachers, administrators, everyone should feel heard and know that they have been important collaborators in this process. It's a lot of change at once. I'm excited about the opportunities it opens up for our students and that increased communication that it will definitely afford between parents and families, guidance counselors and administrators. All of that helps really to ensure that we get to know the students in our district as individuals. We want parents and families to make informed choices about the appropriate level of challenge. We do have high expectations of our students and of our teachers too, and we really want to provide that support to get everyone to their goals. On a final note, I think we would probably all agree that the school budget needs to be mindful, first and foremost, of the impact on taxpayers. And it has to support and maintain the programs that we know are successful. And lastly, it has to leave room to test new and innovative ideas. And I am happy to see that we're on our way to that goal. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation for their gift that's on the agenda tonight. Thank you again to the Ed Foundation for your support of our students. I look forward to attending the gala on April 1st. Thank you again to Ms. Rosetto and Mr. Gavin for your presentations this evening. I know it was a team approach for both. You said from day one, Mr. Gavin, that you were process-oriented, and we appreciate that, and seeing it come to fruition, starting to come to fruition is exciting, and I fully support everything that you have recommended tonight. Thank you. And I will also be at the Booster Bash tomorrow night, so thank you for the reminder. I did not know, I learned the other day that red and blue, the opposite day, I did not know it was every Wednesday, so we're all learning something here tonight with red and blue. All right,
Just
thank
means
you.
you have to go out and buy different color clothes.
Spirit Day.
Apparently. All right, we're all learners. Opportunity for visitors. The public in its comment is requested to refrain from making any direct references to students or staff members that could be considered critical of their performance or their character. Such references to individual students or staff members are inappropriate in a public forum and should instead be conducted in a private conversation with appropriate members of the staff. If you come up to address the board, please state your name and address, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, John O'Shea, 164 South Center Avenue. I'd just like to congratulate the school district. It's been many years of asking for curriculum changes, general ed parents, but for me, most importantly, the special ed community got together and really made a voice and came out and explained the needs that their children were missing in the programs that we offered. And we do offer a lot of great things, but there were children falling through the cracks. And it is refreshing to hear what you're going to say, and it's the first year. So it's only going to get better. So what you're doing for
No pressure, John, no
all
pressure.
for all the children of Rockwell Center is amazing. And I'd like to add one thing, help. Our children need more health in their curriculum, so if you could work that in, there's so much need of it. That's one thing I would ask.
I think that was one of the pieces that we are talking about as part of the curriculum presentation.
I know, it takes time, but what you've done in your first year is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is now my second time, so let's not make a habit. My name is Rita Morrow, 33 Broadway. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank our administration for their time and efforts to move our district toward a more inclusive and appropriate education for all of our students. I truly appreciate your thoughtful approach, your all-encompassing community outreach, observations, professionalism, and visible presence throughout our district. You asked for input from a broad range of community stakeholders, listened to the responses, and took appropriate action in a timely manner, and it is truly appreciated. I can't speak for the entire community, but I can say that I do feel heard, I do feel listened to, and I appreciate that. I found your presentation to be well-balanced, and I'm excited for the future of our district. I would also like to take an opportunity to echo Mrs. Farazani's comment of gratitude for parents of students with special needs, in particular Karen Burgee, that have consistently requested appropriate changes so that all of our children feel successful during their school years. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Denise Woodbury, 54 Royal Court. Two points to make tonight. One is just some feedback. Sources of Strength had a program earlier this week at the middle school. I heard about it. I heard it was wonderful. So thank you for bringing that program to the district. It's only more to come there. And two, if you're wondering if people are watching this at home, my phone is blowing up. All right? All good comments. Certainly from parents of kids in the middle school and the high school, and certainly our special ed community also. So wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for working on this new approach. We do feel heard.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mr. Gavin, we have an acceptance of a gift on our agenda tonight.
Yes, we do. We have a gift of $3,600 from the Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation for yoga instruction at the elementary schools for the Core and Rise programs as well. Mr. O'Shea.
Thank you. My name is John O'Shea, as everybody knows, and I'm here to represent the Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation. Over the past 4 years, the Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation has been supporting the children of the Rockwell Center School District by funding programs that increase mental health awareness and education to prevent the threat of suicide and self-destructive behaviors. Giving the children of Rockwell Center the tools to understand and process the difficult times they will encounter is part of the mission of the Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation. I'm here tonight to present the school district with a check for $3,600 to fund a 6-week yoga program in all the elementary schools. It will be presented to students in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and also include the students in the Rise and Core programs. The classes will meet once a week during recess or after school. Yoga is a wonderful way for children to move their bodies, connect their breath, calm their minds, and learn resilience. Yoga is just one of the tools that help the children of Rockwell Center identify and navigate through a range of emotions and daily stresses. The Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation is proud to offer this program to the elementary students in Rockwell Center. We had started it right before COVID, and it kind of ended halfway through, and we had such great comments and results from it, so that's why we're bringing it back. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the gift?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you again to the Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation. Thank you, Mr. O'Shea.
Thank you, Mr. O'Shea.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to approve the financial reports as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the receipt of financial reports as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Items for action, Mr. Gavin?
Yep. Madam President, one of the things we have for items for action D and E, I would not recommend that we approve the school calendar for next year right now. I think we have to do a little bit more study. There are some conflicts with potential exam dates and religious holidays that have to be worked out, not only in our district, but in many districts across Long Island. So please give us the time and space to work that out.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. All right, can I have a motion to approve items for action A through C?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to approve items for action F through H?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Can I motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank
Have a
you. Our
great
next
night,
meeting
everyone.
will be February 15th, and that will be a public work session. Have a great evening. Thank you.